Hello and welcome to Celtics Tube, episode number 9. I'm Jackson. He's Dennis. And Dennis, let's just get things started right away. Big three topic number 1. What just happened? The Celtics just absolutely blew the doors off of the Wizards. I don't think anybody expected that.
Yeah, no. I was a little weary of this matchup, especially with the way the Wizards have been playing recently. Even the ESPN analysts had 14 out of 16 people thought the Wizards was going to win this game.
Every expert everywhere pretty much was on the train riding the wave for the Wizards. Everyone was very fearful of Russell Westbrook and not at all fearful of this Celtics team without Jaylen Brown and the way they finished that season. And to be fair, that was warranted. I mean, the Celtics absolutely limped into this playoff series, but I don't think enough credence was given to the fact that there was no Bradley Beal.
Yeah, Bradley Beal.
I think a lot of people were just ignoring that and saying, Russell Westbrook is going to carry this team. He's been great lately, and obviously he had a sensational end to the season. Don't get it twisted.
Oh, yeah.
But Bradley Beal, I don't think was at 100%.
Yeah, no, he just looked. I'm pretty sure he went up for a dunk, right? Probably like 6 minutes into the game, and he came down and was holding his hamstring a bit. So I think it was definitely bothering him a lot, and he still scored 24 points yesterday.
He had 22, but not 22, very efficient. Yeah. 25 shots.
Yeah, so that's not great. And him, 30 points per game scorer throughout the season. He was the Wizards' number one person throughout the whole year, even though they struggled at the beginning. They need
That's
him.
That's a team that needs shooting, and they made three-pointers in the whole game. Bradley Beal was 1 for 6.
Davis Bertans definitely did not help that out. That dude was chucking up some threes and missing pretty bad every time, which we'll take, especially with our three-point defense recently. It was nice to see a team being held to a low amount of threes.
And one thing that honestly also controlled the narrative as the sports talk world was leading up into this game was a lot about this Celtics team, their struggles, who to blame for the season, Brad Stevens, Danny Ainge. Can Jason Tatum carry a team? And that brings us to big three topic number 2, which is just purely Jason Tatum. Yeah. 50 points in this game, absolutely stepped up. And I think it begs the question going forward, does he have that ability to be the number one guy on a team that could win a title?
I think so. And he's still young, like we all know. He's got a lot of time left on his game clock, and he just has that killer instinct we talked about in the past. Like throughout games, at the end of games, especially, like he knows how to take over. And pretty much most of the game yesterday, he was getting double teamed. Like he had that massive 23-point third quarter, but there were a significant amount of plays he got double teamed and found a way out of it. So I think he could be.
I think bare minimum, you saw him learning a little bit in this game. Because we've seen his ability to shoot, make tough shots before, and he's dropped big games before. But this game, he got 17 free throws. That's the big headline for me.
Yeah.
Because you know how you get consistent scoring output, a la James Harden, honestly, any of the prime scorers in this league who consistently drop 25-plus points, you get to the line. You can be having an off night, and you can get to the line 15 times in that game. Your scoring will consistently be at a certain output because you're just getting yourself opportunities from the free throw line for free. Like those are the freebies that the superstars get, and part of that's getting some calls once you have that status. But another part of it is being willing to get in that area to do so. And in a lot of the talk about Jason Tatum, it seems as though it's a foregone conclusion that he is at a certain level and he's stuck there. Yeah. And you mentioned him being young. He's 23.
Yeah, he's got so much.
23. He has. Let's say usually a prime is like age 29 or 30 now is like that's when you hit your apex. That's 7 years from now.
Yeah. And he has so much
7 years. That's almost an entire decade.
Yeah.
I think people in part neglect to remember how young he was when he burst onto the scene in that fun Celtics run up against LeBron in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep.
I think people tremendously sleep on how young he was at that time and how young Jaylen Brown was as well. Like, you can't just look at them and be like, okay, he's here, he can't get better. No. He's going for a fact to get better. The question is, can he get better to that level where he is the alpha A1 option? And I don't think I think there's no way you can rule that out at this point, because from what I've seen, there is another level to get to for him. It's getting to that free throw line consistently, and it's working the ball a little bit, not consistently relying on his ability to hit tough shots, but rather using that when he has to.
I agree. Yeah, the sky's the limit for the dude. Like you said, 23 years old. You don't see that every day, where a 23-year-old's made it to 2 Eastern Conference Finals and was pretty much, honestly, the main focal point in each of those matchups. So he's pretty much got like even more experience than a lot of veterans do, which is pretty crazy at that age. And he's had a lot of success in the playoffs. And I think that's probably one of the keys to yesterday's win as well. Like, he's had that experience as well as a couple other guys on the team when this Wizards team hasn't made it super far in the past, except when John Wall and Bradley Beal played us in the Eastern Conference Finals a bunch of years ago. But yeah, no, Tatum, I mean, he's just got to keep being aggressive. Like you said, 17 free throws. That was like unheard of at the beginning of this season. He struggled getting to the line a lot. He wasn't driving much. He was taking a lot of step backs, a lot of deep threes, but he's really picked it up recently. And it's just free points, especially for a really good free throw shooter like him. We're going to need that in the playoffs, especially if we want to beat the Nets coming up.
And I think really one thing that is key to see someone potentially becoming a superstar is that there's levels to their game.
Yep.
And like one thing that we've talked about Tatum and gotten on Tatum throughout the season for is his ability to kind of snooze during some regular season games. On the flip side, to his credit, in the playoffs, he does raise his game seemingly every time.
Significantly.
He rises to that occasion, and as you mentioned, he's going to absolutely have to do that and continue to do that with big three topic number 3 being the Nets' big three, and or honestly at this point they're big whatever. I mean, you got Blake Griffin coming on that team as well. And I mean, let's not mince words, it's not a great matchup. It's not a great matchup, especially with the Celtics were at full strength. It's not a great matchup. The Celtics are not at full strength. The Celtics are not a great defensive team and are going up, when healthy, the best offense in the entire NBA. And one of the best ones potentially we've seen. We just haven't really gotten to see it a ton. Yep. And the Celtics are 0-3 against the Nets this season without ever once facing the full big three, which frankly no one really has. It only happened 7 times in the entire season.
True.
But it doesn't bode well that all 3 of those times they lost, even without it being the big three. And I know a couple of those games were fairly close. You know, one of them was a 5-point game. The other was an 11. The other one was an absolute blowout. But, you know, that they only faced 2 superstars 2 times. The other time they faced just Kyrie. Yeah, that was the really close one. I'm not going to sidestep anything and tell you that I think the Celtics are going to beat the Nets. Yeah, I think they can maybe avoid getting swept.
Yeah, that's my hope.
I think there's a possible for another Mondo Jason Tatum game, but he will need a Robin, and Kemba's going to need to have another big game too. He had 29 last time out against the Wizards, so in the play-in. So I mean, you're going to need both of those guys to be huge. You're going to need a lot of 3-point shooting, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They're not likely to win this series. There's like that 1%. It's just like in the Avengers Endgame. It's going to be essentially Jason Tatum looking over whoever the analytics guy on the bench is. Like, is this the one that we win out of like the billion options? Is this the
perfect
one out of 100?
Yeah,
like, that's what's going to happen.
No, it's true. This is going to be. I mean, I just hope we make it interesting. I'm glad we won the play-in game, and get a chance to potentially wear down this Nets team that a lot of people have their favorites to win the finals, actually. But yeah, this big three is going to be tough. KD, Kyrie, and James Harden. That's like three top tier players all playing on the same team, as well as they have some really good spacing. One guy I'm really concerned about is Joe Harris getting open and making all his threes, especially like I said before with their 3-point defense recently. And even Jeff Green, my former favorite Celtic, long time ago, he's been having really solid year as an older veteran. But yeah, we're gonna have to play perfectly. If any sort of chance, we're gonna have to play perfectly.
And even
He's
Brad's
gonna have to average like 50.
and even Brad Stevens knows that after the game he said, and I quote, "We'll do our best to get ready for Brooklyn. They're the best of the best. As a fan of the NBA, it's hard to see those guys losing. We're great. We're going to have to play great and play great together."
Yeah.
I mean, very, very coach speaky there, but
very Brad.
Pretty much saying exactly what we're saying here. Like this is a very, very good NBA team. Not impervious to being beaten, but when they've been at full strength, they've been very tough to tango with. And their weakness is defense, which Celtics fans can empathize with. Oddly, this season hadn't been in the past few seasons, but oddly this one for sure. So I'll go with my final thought here, which is for the Celtics to win this series and or make it interesting. Win this series seems a bit less likely than make it interesting, for sure. Yeah. But my final thought is to make it messy. The Celtics, both these teams are at their best, simply won't win because the Celtics ceiling without Jaylen Brown just simply isn't high enough. It's not.
Sure.
Against this team. They lose one of their best defenders and one of their best offensive players, the Celtics do, without Jaylen Brown. That's a fact. Going up against this team, it needs to be a little ugly. I mean, this Nets team's weakness is defense. That's true.
Yep.
But their offense can put up so many points, and the Celtics' weakness is defense. Yeah. So I don't think the Celtics can purely just be like, all right, let's just make it a shootout, and maybe we're going to have a fun night of shooting. Because I don't think that would win consistently enough. I think they have to just make it like a little, set Marcus Smart free and just make it a little ugly. Just make it. It's not going to be pretty basketball for the Celtics to win this series. Make it messy. Make Jason Tatum, hopefully he cooks. Hopefully he's on absolute fire like he was last night.
Yep.
And that's it. That's what you hope for. Let's make it ugly. Let's make it as ugly as possible. This is not going to be pretty basketball, but you know what? It is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah, no, I completely wholeheartedly agree. And I'll even start, like, my final thoughts very similar, and it's just aggression. I think we got to be super aggressive during the series, like you said. Make it really messy. This might be the first time we've had a similar final thought. I love it. But yeah, no, Marcus Smart, we got to set him free. I'm hoping for some heated moments during this series, not going to lie, especially maybe TD Garden back at full capacity May 29th in Boston. Could be good for game 4, getting Kyrie's head a little bit, see what happens. But no, I'd love for it to get a little chippy, and I think that'd be big for the guys to get them all pumped up. But yeah, like you said, it's going to have to be perfect. We're going to have to be rolling on the floor consistently. Hopefully put Neesmith out there a lot. He'll be flying around. But hopefully we don't get too aggressive like we've seen throughout this year and everyone gets injured for next year. I don't want that to happen. A little worried about Rob yesterday, but thankfully he came back. I thought he tore his ACL or something. But hopefully we hold him out for a bit. But we don't want any more injuries before the end of the season, especially long-term ones. But yeah, it should be fun. It should be a fun time. 2 good teams going up against each other. Hopefully they play some good basketball together.
Yeah, look, it's happy to made it out of the play, and that's kind of a win. Nice little feather in the cap to kind of end what's been a just disappointing season. No sugarcoating it or need to mince words about that.
Yeah.
But maybe get a game here from Brooklyn. That would be nice.
Yeah.
I think that would maybe appease some of the Brad Stevens haters out there who
Yeah,
just
for
want
sure.
to see him gone.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, as I mentioned in the past, I mean, who's better on the market? What coaches out there that you're like, oh, let's go get this guy to take away someone who's been to this many Eastern Conference Finals in recent history? It's just not there. Like, I mean, Brad has his faults, don't get me wrong, has me questioning a bit of his ability to motivate players. As an X's and O's guy, and timeouts.
Yeah.
As an X's and O's guy, I think he's very good, but his ability to manage and motivate called into question a little bit at points this season. That's for sure.
Definitely.
But that can be addressed heading into next season. The real key, let's see how we can motivate this team against the Nets. Can he get them to get a game? The goal is to not get swept.
Yeah, don't want that broom to come out.
I'm not trying to throw out any lofty expectations. Don't get swept. Let's get one.
Get one game.
Let's go get one.
Make it interesting. Maybe a Tatum buzzer beater or something. Get the boys going. Get the hearts going up, and just be in good spirits. We'll see. I'm hoping for 2. I'm gonna say Nets in 6. I'm gonna be a little optimistic here.
Wow, Nets in 6.
Yeah.
That's high praise.
We'll see how it goes.
That's some lofty expectations.
Bold.
Bold is certainly one way to put it. We'll see what happens next week. Hopefully we have an exciting series maybe to talk about next week. If they can get an early one, that would be more exciting. And then at least let's say they're down 3-1 heading in, or rather 2-1 heading into game 4. Full Celtics arena. Teams haven't played in front of a full crowd much this year at all.
Yeah.
Maybe. True. Maybe then you can get your 6. I still think that's that's the one. It's the 1 in a million. But we'll see. We haven't seen this big 3 together all that much. Maybe they're a little rusty. Who knows? We'll find out next week. That'll do it for this week's episode. Remember to subscribe, comment down below if you disagree or if you have any thoughts. We'll see you next week.
See ya.